Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. My name is Alpa Sharma, and this is our first day of the week for our daily Hindu editorial analysis. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to everybody. Could you please quickly confirm that? Can you hear and see me clearly on YouTube as well as on the app? Good morning, Ragini, Mahita, Shivam, Asmita, Sham, Tanu, Devanshu, Abhi, Hishan, Ranganathan, Harsh, Nikita, and all the others. Am I clearly visible and audible? Yes, yes, yes. On the app as well as on YouTube. All right. So we did not take classes on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Also on Friday, I had not taken any class on Hindu articles because Thursday most of the articles were political. So I had taken an Aeon article. But then Friday we had tons of articles. Saturday as well we had a lot of articles. Some of you sent me messages as well that, ma'am, please take this article or that article. So I've taken two supremely important ones. Both are going to be from the Hindu. So I think one occurred in Saturday's newspaper and the other occurred in Friday's newspaper about a recent issue. I'll be talking about the GK implication of that as well. Okay, so that is what we're going to do today. We'll be looking at two articles, discussing them in detail from the Hindu today. All right, and before I take you through the class, the first thing is that we have the Grand Republic Day Fest going on, and we've got daily quizzes, and you could win exciting prizes through these quizzes. So make sure you participate in them. Apart from that, if you're targeting MHCT, ALET, SLAT, BLET, JAMIA, LLB, so these are a little different from the CLAT examination. We've got a batch 2 that we've recently launched. Batch 1 is already full. So make sure you enroll yourself for this batch at the earliest if these low entrance examinations are your target. Also, if you're targeting CLAT 2022, we've got our first crash course that we've recently launched. So, agar CLAT aapka target hai, don't wait, rush up and enroll yourself quickly because you don't have a lot of time left. If you don't wish to study everything, you wish to study only legal affairs and current events, then we've got the booster course for this, but we've got batch 2. Batch 1 is already full. So batch 2 hai if you wish to study only and only legal affairs or current events. Jaldi se enroll kar lo iske liye. And agar aap CLAT 2023 target kar rahe ho, we've got a comprehensive course batch 7 where I'll also be teaching. So 23 hai, roughly 11 months left. Jaldi se enroll kar lo. Let's start the preparation together. Now, what are we going to do in the class today? Okay. So, how to apply for the quiz that my video team is going to tell you. With your team, could you please help people about that? Okay. Tanishka, I'll try my best today. Yes, I'll try my very, very best today to have a Zoom session. Either today or tomorrow. Within these 2 days, I'll have a Zoom session. Now, what is this Zoom session? For people who come to my free classes only, who are not in my paid batches, I'm sorry, this is not for you people, but those people who are coming to my booster courses, then the English NCR booster course, it's for those people. Okay, so I'll try to have one either today or tomorrow for sure. All right, now what are we going to do today? We're going to have a quote of the day. We'll revise. No, we're not going to revise 3 words. We're not going to do that because Friday we had vocabulary and that was only a few set of words because I had to change the article last moment. So we're not going to do the revision today, but we've got so many new words today from the articles we're going to discuss. We've got roughly 5 slides. On the contrary, we used to have only 3 slides every day, right? Today we've got 5 slides of vocabulary, so many new words, we're going to memorize them and we'll take 2 articles, do a detailed discussion on them. In the end, you're going to tell me the tone of the author. You could also write down the summary of each article that we discuss under my video in the comment section, which I'm going to check during the day. If there's anything that you would want to ask me or communicate with me, you could reply to me under my comment section as well. That's what we're going to do. And in the end, we'll look at today's newspapers, Hindu and Indian Express, and we'll see what are the important articles we need to read from these 2 newspapers' editorial. That is what the agenda for this class is going to be. Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Yes, it is, Ragini. It's very important. Yes. Okay. So, let us start off with our quote. Who's bought the quote here? Who's bought the quote of the day? Ragini, just remember, anything that pertains to law becomes supremely important. It could be asked under the legal reasoning, legal GK, or reading comprehension sections as well. Okay? So, who's bought the quote of the day? Nobody? Nobody. Nobody has a quote. Quote, you must tell yourself, no matter how hard it is or how hard it gets, oh yes, 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 Mochi, I love this quote. And that's exactly what I abide by. The times are going to be very difficult, specifically the next 2 months. Trust me, are going to be very difficult. For people who are targeting 22, they're going to be difficult because roughly March or April, you'll have your boards, and May, you have your CLAT. So there's going to be pressure from every side. Board 1 was easier to manage because you did not have the pressure of CLAT so much on your head. But now it's going to get difficult. But no matter how difficult it gets, how hard it gets, just keep telling yourself, I'm going to make it. This is what I'm meant for, and I'm going to achieve that no matter what happens. I'm going to put my best and I'm going to get there. So you just need to keep reminding yourself that, and don't succumb to the pressure. Because people who succumb to the pressure are inevitably going towards failure. Don't succumb to it. Deal with it, right? So that was our quote of the day. And let us now, I just saw that, Tanishka. Let us move to the vocabulary from today's article. So we've got so much of it. Let's start with the first slide. Give me a second. All right, so reify is basically making something tangible, making something happen, making something take a form. That's reify. So these instincts are in man reified as verbal constructs. So basically things that are in mind are taking a verbal, basically it's happening right now. They are communicating it to people. They are bringing it out through their mouth, making something happen, making something take shape, or making something real that people can see is reify. Okay, got this, everyone? The first word. The next word here is this. Theology. So the root word here is theo, and then we've got the suffix logy. Theo or the, not the. Okay, these words, the meaning of these root words is God. Okay, so basically theology is the study of religion. Religion obviously depends on which God you believe in. So such an ironical statement actually. So nonetheless, theology is the study of the existence of God and religion, and how religions have developed. That study is theology. And then we've got theocracy and theist and atheist. All of these, they come out of the same root word, the or theo. Yes? Okay. Theo-religion. Yes, exactly. Correct. All right. Sahil, I saw at that quote later on after I explained the quote. I'm sorry for that. Okay, the next one. Preamble. ये मैं नहीं समझाऊंगी. मेरे वीडियो टीम ने ये वर्ड डाल तो दिया, बट आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन दिस वर्ड. ठीक है, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए प्रियम्बल क्या चीज है. एंड सिंस आवर रिपब्लिक डे इज जस्ट around the corner, you have to go through everything that our constitution went through. And now since this word has taken a place in today's slide, you know what article I'm going to take? I'm certainly going to take one about our constitution only. And it's very, very important, and it's written by one of the very, very eloquent speakers. So eloquent is somebody who is very clearly able to express his ideas, uses words in a very good manner, impressive manner. That is an eloquent speaker. The root word here is L-O-Q or L-O-C. These root words mean to speak. Okay, like loquacious, location, eloquent, interlocution. So these words come out of the same root word. Yes, it has to be Shashi Tharoor. It has to be Shashi Tharoor. Gift of gab, yes, Sham, we can use that. Articulate, yes, Anshul, very good. Yes, that's a word for eloquent, yes. Okay, so eloquent, articulate, rhetoric, Arshita, yes, we can, that's a related word. It is. Yes, it has to be Shashi Tharoor only. Reify can be tangible, yes, Shafi, it can be. Okay? All right. So, yes, I have to take that article. This is slide number 1. Take a screenshot very quickly. देखो guys, do you realize कि etymology कितना important है? Out of these, in fact, यहाँ पे भी आप re मान सकते हो as a prefix, right? So, at preamble में pre मान सकते हो because it's an introduction before the actual reading the actual constitution. So, almost so many words can be worked on through the etymology. Please work on that. I'll be bringing a series of etymology again on this channel. Next slide is here. Enumeration. So basically listing things out, numbering them. Okay, this is the list. That list is enumerating it. The complete enumeration of all possible genetic states. So they've made a list of it. 1, 2, 3. सबको enumerate कर दिया है. That is enumeration. Okay. All right. Yes. Let's. Fluent for eloquent आप बोल सकते हो. Yes, Ritik. Reify for authentic. That's a related word, Tanishka, not an exact synonym though. All right. So the next one, pervert. There is one pervert that we usually use for a person who is immoral, right? But then apart from that, a pervert is basically there's a normal course of action. There's a normal way that you're following, a procedure that you're following, and then there is a disruption in it, usually by corrupt means, by destroying it, by hampering it, and that is pervert. So he was charged with conspiring to pervert the course of justice. He wanted to corrupt it. He wanted to obstruct that course of justice, that action, that procedure that people had been following to give justice. Corrupting that, hindering that, destroying that is pervert. Okay? Chronology can be enumeration. Yes. Thank you, Lakshmi. Abhinay, abhi start kiya enumeration. Okay. All right. Spoil, deform. Yes, Pallavi, we can use that. Stime. Yes, Hemendra. Stime can be used for pervert. Very good. Twisting can also be used. Yes. All right. So the next one, bedrock, is basically the foundation on which things would grow. Okay. So the fundamental principles on which something is based, that foundation is your bedrock. Honesty is the bedrock of a good relationship. Yes. Equality is the bedrock of our constitution. Equality for all, one man, one vote, one value. Yes, that's the bedrock of our constitution. Next word is enshrine. Enshrine we've discussed multiple times in the past. Enshrine is basically that place, okay, not place. It's technically used for temples or any such structures that have been built to preserve an idol where worshipping could be done. That's usually a word used for enshrine. But enshrine could also be preserving and protecting things that need to be respected, that are important in the society. That preserving it is enshrining it. The right of all workers to strike was enshrined in the new constitution. That means it was protected so that people respect it in the new constitution. That's enshrined. Slide number 2. Any doubts, anybody? Okay, demolition for what, Nisha? Pervert के लिए related. Okay, imbibe, enshrine. Yes, Arshita. Preamble is the bedrock of our constitution. Yes. Foundation. Exactly. Barrier. I don't know कौन से word के लिए आप use कर रहे हैं. Barrier. Pervert के लिए ठीक है. Use कर सकते हो. All right. Yes. Anurita, yes. Immortalize can be a related word to enshrine. It can be. Bedrock can be the backbone. Okay. Now let's move to the next slide. Slide number 2. I hope everyone has taken a screenshot of it quickly. Slide number 3. Fiat. Not the car, but it's a formal procedure, a formal order that has been given. That's a fiat. So the reforms left most prices fixed by the government fiat, the government order, the government decree. So a government order technically can be used as a fiat or a decree. Okay. Pervert. Okay. So Ranganathan, a pervert can be used for a person who is an immoral person, whose sexual behavior is completely immoral. Okay. That is one pervert. But, and it's a very, very bad word. Please don't use it for anybody unless and until you actually mean it. All right. The next pervert is basically there's a course of action or there's a procedure that we follow. But then if there are hindrances, if there are things that obstruct it, if there are things that corrupt the whole process, that's perverting as well. Idealize, can Tanishka be used? Yes, for enshrine. Bedrock can be substantive. Yes, it can be. Hemendra, it can be. Fiat money, Shakshi, yes, we discussed an article on that if you remember clearly. We've done fiat earlier. Yes, Hemendra, we've done. Ordinance, yes, fiat, decree, order, guidelines, memorandum, all of these are synonyms to fiat. Absolutely right. Okay. All right. The next one. Trample. So what is contempt? Who's going to tell me what is contempt? Because you're law aspirants, you know the contempt of court, right? Who's going to tell me what is contempt? Anyone? Order, diktat, all of these are fiat. Yes, Ayushi. Hindi word, रुकावट डालना, उसको, let me think actually. कोई बताएगा हिंदी word for pervert? Nefarious, illicit, वो तो उस person के लिए हो गया बच्चे. Okay? Breaching. Breach, yes. Disrespect, yes. So basically, when you're treating somebody with disrespect, that exactly is trample. Exactly. So disrespecting of the court, contempt of court. Okay. So a lay statesman ought not to trample upon the opinions, not to disrespect the opinions of the church advisors. So treating with disrespect or contempt is trample. Commemorate is basically things that are no more in existence, but we recall it and we give respect to it. So every Republic Day, we commemorate our whole procedure of enshrining our constitution, right? That is commemorate. So recalling and then showing respect to something or someone that's not possibly anymore in existence or something that has already happened in the past. That's commemorate. A replaying ceremony to commemorate the war dead. So you show respect. You think about them again and you show respect. Slide number 3. Take a screenshot, everyone, very, very quickly. Ignominy, vehemence, for trample. Yes. Correct. Correct, everyone. No, 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 Shefi, no. No. That's a wrong synonym, bache. Okay, like Gandhi Jayanti for that matter of fact. Exactly. So let's move to the next slide, everyone. Pluralist. एक सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट है, फिर एक स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स है बहुत सारी. सो बेसिकली जब एक सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, आपको पता है व्हाट आर्टिकल आई एम गोइंग टू टेक टुडे, एक सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और एक स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, जब दो अलग अलग स्टेट्स, अलग अलग ग्रुप्स, अलग अलग प्रिंसिपल्स को एग्जिस्ट करते हैं और साथ में फंक्शन करते हैं, दे आर वर्किंग टुगेदर, they're coexisting, because plural, rather not two or more than two. So plural means there is not one. It could be more than 1, 2, 3, 4, any number, but they coexist. That state is called a pluralist state. So our democracy is a pluralist democracy. Yes, religious pluralism is not one religion, but we've got multiple religions in our country and they coexist. So that's pluralism. Okay. Yes, yes, Hemendra, that is what we're going to take today, my child. Yes, Abhinav, you're right. That is when you restrain the judicial administration or disrespect the ordinance, that is the contempt. Okay. So federal structure of the government, Alia. Yes, that's the term for pluralism, dividing the power into smaller units. Despotism, like a dictator. You have the authority and you are oppressive on other people who are minorities, specifically anybody who has power tries to suppress people who are minors, who are under him. That kind of a nature is despotism, the ideology of enlightened despotism. So understand, like it's like Hitler. Okay. Then we've got exacerbate. Exacerbate is making anything worse or more severe. So the exorbitant cost of land in urban areas only exacerbated the problem. It made the problem of living in a city even worse because the cost of land and homes is so high. Exacerbate, making something more severe or bad. Okay, hegemony, supremacy for despotism. Yes, you can say that. Tyranny for despotism. Yes, Sakhi, you can say that. Yes, Lakshmi, you are right with pluralism. Dictatorship, tyrannism. Yes. Okay. Aggravate for exacerbate. Yes, Ishan. Despotism for discretion. No, Lakshmi. That's a little away from the meaning of the word. Aggravate or worsen. That certainly is a synonym to exacerbate. Alright? We've done many times. Despotism can be dogmatism. Shefi, that's a related word. Okay, then we've got deputation. Okay, so you guys have been reading so many things about the deputation of IPS officers, and we're going to discuss the application of the amendment that has been proposed. I got so many questions from you guys about what is this whole process, and about you had raised some doubts from the dashboard of our app as well. Ma'am, please explain this line. Ma'am, please explain this article. Some of them asked me to take this article, so thus this is it. I've got some GK behind that as well, where I'll tell you what the actual regulation is and what is the proposed amendment here, and why is it creating so much hue and cry. So I'll be explaining all of that along with the Shashi Tharoor article today. But looks like that you guys haven't shared my article in quite a while. There are two things that I would like to address. How many of you have not subscribed to our channel yet? I'd like to know that, because I see so many people coming to my classes daily but not actually subscribing to the channel. Why don't you right away click on the bell icon? That's going to help me a lot. 1, subscribe to our channel. 2, have you shared my video today? Yes? Then thank you so much. If no, why don't you do that? Who are you saving it for? If you think you have benefited with my videos, do me a little favor. Share this video with people. These are the 2 things I would request you to do every single day. Okay, so if there's anybody who's new to my classes, subscribe to the channel and share my video and tell everybody else, see, Alpa ma'am is doing a very good job. Come to her classes, you'll be benefited. Thank you so much if you've done any one of these or both. Okay, so deputation is basically a group of people appointed to undertake a mission to take part in a formal process on behalf of a larger group. The larger group would be the union or the central government, right? And they would rather make a list. And out of the list, they would choose some people that they would use for their own purpose. That is deputation. Okay? Got this, everyone? प्लूरलिस्ट, रिया फिर से समझाती हूँ. प्लूरलिस्ट होता है एक का एग्जिस्टेंस नहीं, एक से ज्यादा का एग्जिस्टेंस. तो प्लूरलिज्म इन रिलीजन हो गया, एक रिलीजन नहीं है, बहुत सारे रिलीजन है, 2 या 2 से ज्यादा है. प्लूरलिज्म इन गवर्नेंस का मतलब सिर्फ एक नहीं है, सेंट्रल भी है, स्टेट भी है. हमारी डेमोक्रेसी प्लूरलिस्ट है, वो बहुत सारी चीजों की प्लूरलिटी में बिलीव करते हैं, रिलीजन की भी, गवर्नेंस की भी. जहां फेडरलिज्म होता है तो पावर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हो जाती है. दैट्स प्लूरलिज्म. ओके, ऑलराइट. सो we've done with these words. Deputation can be delegation. Absolutely yes, it can be delegation as well. Okay, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Invoice Vanshali for deputation. Yes, Rishabh, I'm going to do that. ठीक है? Okay, let's move to the last slide for today. Okay, arm twisting. Arm twisting. देखो, आप फिजिकली सोच के देखो, if you twist somebody's arm, what you're doing? आप forcefully उससे वो काम करा रहे हो जो उसका मन नहीं है करने का. You forcefully making people do what they're reluctant to do. Arm twisting, okay? Like initially the school teachers would do. It took some arm twisting to convince him to take on the role. Not physical arm twisting, but pressurizing people to do something they're unwilling to do. Arm twisting. All right. So okay, so fait accompli, accomplished. Fate is for fact. Any fact that is already accomplished even before there's an inquiry done on it or there's a voting done on it. It's already an established one. That is fait accompli. You guys have seen this word used multiple times in your legal articles. Yes? Exorbitant for what? Nota pro? ओके ल्योरिंग हेमेंद्र तो एक पॉजिटिव तरीका हुआ एक्चुअली बट आर्म ट्विस्टिंग थोड़ा सा नेगेटिव हो गया ठीक है ये डिफरेंस होता है प्रेस गैंगिंग हो सकता है यस नजिंग हो सकता है हाँ ओके लेट्स मूव अहेड ओके सॉरी गाइस हियर वी गो स्टिफलिंग you feel you are being pressurized, you are unable to do what you wish to do, you feel constrained, restricted, oppressed. That is stifling. The stifling formality of her family life, she felt suffocated and oppressed and not any liberty to do what she wanted to do, constrained, restricted. That is stifling. Our slide number 5, take a screenshot very quickly. Exorbitant, बहुत ज़्यादा. नोट प्रो एक्सॉर्बिटेंट मतलब बहुत ज्यादा ठीक है देवजोत पॉलिटिकल नहीं स्टेटमेंट्स बच्चे यस कोर्शन हो सकता है सखी आर्म ट्विस्टिंग के लिए ठीक है चोकिंग हो सकता है फॉर स्टिफलिंग यस ठीक है सो बेसिकली फेट अकॉम्प्लाइज एक डिसीजन ले लिया गया वो डिसीजन से कुछ लोग इफेक्ट होते लेकिन उन लोगों के इफेक्ट होना और उन लोगों को पता लगना कि ये डिसीजन ले लिया गया है और उन लोगों के इन्वॉल्वमेंट से पहले ही वो डिसीजन ले लिया गया इट वॉज ऑलरेडी एन एस्टैब्लिश्ड फैक्ट बिफोर पीपल हु आर बीइंग इम्पैक्टेड बाय इट कुड एक्चुअली बी इन्वॉल्व्ड इन द डिसीजन मेकिंग दैट्स फेट अकॉम्प्लाई ओके इस अकॉम्प्लिश्ड फैक्ट से याद करना ऑलराइट सो वी हैव डन ऑल द वर्ड्स यस शेफी एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट रिस्ट्रेन हो सकता है ट्विस्टिंग All right, stifling, oh, smother, ठीक है, हो सकता है. All right, let's move to the articles now, everyone, very quickly. So the first article I'm going to take about, it's written by Shashi Tharoor, and it's about our constitution, and we're going to recollect some things about our constitution. I'll not talk about the GK perspective of it. I'll be talking about the conceptual and the contextual application of this article. Brilliantly written, and let's bask into the glory of the founders of our constitution, the members of our founding committee of the Constituent Assembly. Let's talk about their ideologies. Let's talk about they being a visionary. और जब आप स्पेसिफिकली B.R. अम्बेडकर के विजन को देखते हो The statements जब आप देखते हो जब डिबेट्स होती थी all those 3 years जब डिबेट्स होती थी about our constitution कि कैसा होना चाहिए the kind of statements he would give it's so visionary कि वो आज भी हमारे कंट्री में उतने ही एप्लीकेबल हैं जो आज से 72 years पहले थे so look at the kind of vision he would have है ना so we're going to talk about that in this article okay All right, so here we go. This month we celebrate another Republic Day, the 72nd anniversary of our entry into the force of our constitution. In so doing, we reaffirm the essence of Indian nationalism, reified in a constitution adopted after almost 3 years of debate, and in the process implicitly salute the idea in India that emerged from both the nationalist movement and its institutionalization in the Republic. Now, idea of India. Here, what does it mean? It says, Shashi Tharoor says, we're going to celebrate our 72nd anniversary of our constitution and we will celebrate the whole process of debating and how our constitution was framed. And we're going to salute the idea of India. What is this idea of India here? Anyone? When people say that his vocab is just highly good, but his articles, it was plain and simple. Yes, absolutely, Arnab, because if he uses that kind of words that he uses in his speech, 90% of the public would not understand his articles and my job would become even more difficult. Thus, thankfully, he's chosen plain, but his argumenting power is absolutely apt. He's very subtle here. Okay, so what is this idea of India? What is this idea of India? Anyone? The way constitution is made. Okay, the idea on which the constitution of modern India is based, and how we look at our country possibly 50 years down the line. What's our idea of how our country would be? That is enshrined in the constitution, and we are going to celebrate that for the 72nd year this time. That idea of how our country is and how it would be. A modern India. That's our idea of India. Yes, how things would work in India. Exactly. That's our idea of India. So the idea of India as a modern nation based on a certain conception of human rights. Conception of human rights means they imagined how human rights would be ensured, what are human rights and the citizenship rights, vigorously backed by due process of law. So much of debating, so much of procedures, so much of reading things and talking about it. It was backed by a procedural law so that these human rights and citizenship is ensured. And equality before the law is a gift of the constitution. Earlier, conceptions of India drew their inspiration from mythology and theology. Yes, पहले ऐसा ही होता था कि इंडिया कैसा है, mythology decide करता था, theology decide करता था, religions decide करते थे. The modern idea of India, despite the mystical influence of Tagore and the spiritual and moral influences of Gandhiji, is a robustly secular and legal construct based upon the vision and intellect of our founding fathers, notably in alphabetical order. So he clearly says that I don't prefer he over him, right? He clearly says this sequence is only in the alphabetical order, but they ensured that we have basically legal foundations. Okay, the preamble of the constitution itself is the most eloquent enumeration of this vision. The vision, possibly Patel, Nehru, Ambedkar, Gandhi, Tagore, all of they had. And that's a written format of our vision into our constitution. In his description of the defining traits of the Indian Republic and its conception of justice, of liberty, of equality and fraternity, it firmly proclaims that the law will be the bedrock of the national project. हम सबको लिबर्टी चाहिए, इक्वलिटी चाहिए, जस्टिस चाहिए, रिपब्लिक भी होना चाहिए हमारा कंट्री, बट ये सबका फाउंडेशन क्या बनाता है? द लॉ. और ये लॉ कहाँ हमारा एनश्राइंड है? इनटू आवर Constitution. Every society has an interdependent relationship with the legal system that governs it. So, एक society completely dependent है on the legal system, and the legal system obviously is in existence because of the society only. So, where will our society reach will be completely dependent upon our existing legal system, the amendments that happen according to the need of time, which are not coercive or oppressive as well. Yes, and see guys, why this article becomes supremely important today is because you understand his point of view, and I've eliminated the political lines that he had used. I've eliminated that. Let's link it to our existing scenario. Last 2 weeks, we've seen so much of hue and cry about hate speech and so much of discussion about what is our fundamental right to fundamental freedom of expression and speech, and how hate speech violates that, and then comes sedition and UAPA as well. So there's a lot of discussion that has been happening in the last 2 weeks on that. इसमें हमारी सोसाइटी कहाँ स्टैंड करती है वो हमारे लीगल प्रिंसिपल्स ही डिसाइड करते हैं. तो जहां नीड होती है, लाइक हेट स्पीच फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वहां मेरे लीगल प्रिंसिपल को एक फर्म बेडरॉक बनाना पड़ता है सो दैट आवर सोसाइटी ग्रोज ब्लूम्स टू बी अ बेटर वन rather than a coercive one. Yes, it is through this interplay that communities become societies, interplay of depending upon the legal system, the judiciary, that our society becomes civilization, and civilization acquired the sense of national and historical character. Why is India one of the most historical characters in the whole world? Despite the fact that our constitution isn't very old, only 72 years old, it's because of our dependency on our legal system. Yes, mythology and theology. तानू आप क्लास में लेट आए बच्चे, मैंने दोनों वर्ड समझाए थे. mythology हमारे tales, हमारे कंट्री में महाभारत जैसे या रामायण जैसे, this is mythology. Theology is the study of religion. Okay, Idea of India, equality before law and equality before the protection of law. Absolutely, yes, that's our idea of India. Okay, so now let's read a line that B.R. Ambedkar has said. I do not want that our loyalty as Indians should be in the slightest way affected by any competitive loyalty. Such a thoughtful line. See, competitive loyalty matlab mera loyalty hai that I'm an Indian. Is there any competitive country that can change my loyalty to my country? And it's not only my loyalty to my country that can be changed by any other country's influence. It can change by my religious influence, by the religion I belong to. It could be changed by the gender I belong to. There are so many bifurcations to it. So my loyalty to my country should never, so my constitution has to be such where my loyalty stays with my country. There's nothing that is able to change my loyalty, and that loyalty comes genuinely from the heart, unlike China or Korea maybe. Yes? So I want all people to be Indians first, Indian last, and nothing else but Indians. So तुम्हारा क्या religion है, तुम्हारा क्या caste है, तुम्हारा क्या gender है, उन सब से, irrespective of that fact, you are an Indian, and that's how one should look at himself. And that's how our constitution should be, which is inclusive for everybody. Agreed? A very visionary idea. Okay? All right. Okay. So this was a greater challenge than it might have been in other country than India. देखो, India में oneness and loyalty to the country दिखाना actually comparatively ज़्यादा difficult था. If you look at other countries, one obviously because of the diversity that we have in our country, religious, caste, कितनी तरह की diversity है. And apart from that, हमारा जो society सिर्फ और सिर्फ religion के basis पे differentiated नहीं था. हर एक religion में अलग-अलग caste, अलग-अलग section के basis में भी bifurcated था. Thus, because of this bifurcation, हमारे country में ये जो challenge था of ensuring one person, one vote, one Indian, ये बहुत difficult हो गया था, right? That divided Indians and seemed to fly in the face of an idea of shared citizenship. Everyone is the citizen of India, लेकिन यहाँ बहुत सारी bifurcations हैं. हम पहले religion, फिर हर religion में अलग-अलग उनके states होते हैं, अलग-अलग caste होते हैं, इतने bifurcations. So Ambedkar knew all that too well. The dark shadow of caste and social hierarchy. हायर कैटेगरी, लोअर कैटेगरी, तुम यही काम करोगे, तुम यही काम करोगे, तुम इसी को काम करना पड़ेगा, तुम यहाँ नहीं कर सकते काम, है ना? कितने सारे bifurcation. In politics, we will be recognizing the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. So every vote has a value. In our social and economic life, we shall, by reason of our social economic structure, आपका economic structure, आपका social structure does not divide you of your voting right, of your value of your vote. Yes? So how long shall we continue to live this life of contradictions? No. And thus, to avoid this contradiction, we had our constitution. That was what he said in the debates for all those 3 years of our constitution. Huge population too. Yes, Purva, absolutely. Most peaceful countries of the world have small population, and our population is huge with so many bifurcations into it, thus making it even more difficult. Sub-religions as well. But that's the beauty of our country. That's the diversity. Indian nationalism is thus the nationalism of an idea. The idea of what I have dubbed an ever land. Ever land matlab ek land India जो था है और कल भी रहेगा. That is ever land. Emerging from an ancient civilization united by shared history. Sustained shared history. क्या था shared history? कि हम हैं और हम सबको आप हिंदू हो, मुस्लिम हो, किसी भी रिलीजन के हो, किसी भी सब सेक्शन के हो, कास्ट के हो, हम सबको ब्रिटिशर्स रूल कर रहे थे. इट वाज अ शेयर्ड हिस्ट्री दैट वी हैड, राइट? सस्टेन्ड बाय प्लूरलिस्ट डेमोक्रेसी अंडर द रूल ऑफ लॉ. What knits this entire concept of Indian nationhood together is, of course, the rule of law. इन सबको साथ कौन लेके आता है? अगर रूल ऑफ लॉ नहीं होगा ना तो सब अपने मन के करेंगे और डिविजन बढ़ता जाएगा. So it's the rule of law जो हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में प्रोटेक्टेड है. That ensures कि आप को सबको one person, one vote, one value, आप सब equal हो in front of the law. The struggle of Indian independence was, after all, not simply a struggle for freedom from alien rule, that was British rule. So that was not the only struggle that we had. This struggle was a shift away from the administration of law and order, centered on imperial despotism. Law तो तब भी थे, rules तब भी थे, but वो despotic rules थे. So our freedom was movement of our country away from that despotic rule, a rule that's more inclusive now. It is from that the idea of constitutional morality was born. What is constitutional morality? A national commitment to pursuing desirable ends through constitutional means. मुझे एक equal society चाहिए. मुझे वो equal society कैसे मिलेगी? मेरा constitution ensure करेगा वो. To upholding and respecting the constitution's processes and structures, and in doing so, and to doing so in a spirit of transparency and accountability. अगर एक गवर्नमेंट है, so वो गवर्नमेंट ट्रांसपेरेंट होगी और वो गवर्नमेंट अकाउंटेबल होगी towards the citizens, and that's how you ensure the government is not despotic. There is free speech, there is there is public scrutiny of government. That's what the Hindu believes in. As I said earlier, a lot of you may believe that Hindu is actually anti-BJP, but no, it's actually anti-center. And anti-center is actually a very crude term. It's basically, its job is to scrutinize the government in power. And if you don't do that, the whole idea of an inclusive government fails. The government would develop only when there's scrutiny. When there's no scrutiny, the government would become despotic. Actions and legal limitations of the exercise of power. There are limitations to the power that you can exercise, including the central and the state government. इसका implication हम देखेंगे IS/IPS article में. This was how freedom was intended to flourish in India, but obviously his target is the opposition party. Of course, Ambedkar realized it is perfectly possible to pervert the constitution without changing its form by merely changing the form of the administration to make it consistent with the spirit of constitution. Ambedkar argued that constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment. अपने आप नहीं आएगा ये morality. It has to be cultivated. It has to be ensured. We must realize that our people have yet to learn it. Democracy in India is only a top dressing on an Indian soil, which is essentially undemocratic. That's his claim. So I'll not discuss about that. Sorry, I think I'll miss this paragraph because it's political. Let's look at the end of it. To recall these basic principles today, to recognize how far we are currently straying from them. He says our basic fundamental principles, our basic principles on which form the bedrock of our constitution, foundation of our constitution, we are moving away from that. There are rules that are amended according to the comfortability of the government. This Republic Day, as we gear up to celebrate our 75th anniversary of our independence a little over 6 months later, we must remind ourselves of the redictate ourselves to ideas that lie behind the constitution. Constitution kin ideas pe bana tha. Let's recall them. Let's work on them. Let's ensure them, whose entry into force we shall celebrate on January 26th. Tone of the author, my children. Okay. So, law is above all citizens. Yes. But sometimes these laws are amended according to the writer and used to benefit the government, which should not be done because we are, according to the author, moving away from the constitution. Who is arguing? Tone of the author. Narrative? No. No, no. He's not telling you a story. Expository, okay. Glorifying, yes. Yes. Glorifying ho sakta hai because he's glorifying our constitution here and the founding members of our constitution, yes. Descriptive only a little, my children, only a little, okay. Shrestha, yes, that's the whole point, and that is exactly why I had eliminated so many lines which were political here, because the whole idea of the constitution expressed here, sans the opinion, is brilliantly written. So, okay, laudatory. Okay, now let's move to the important article, everyone, which most of you had been asking me. Lots of GK. Make sure you take screenshots quickly along with the I'm going to take that Satyendra in February. Not this month. I'm going to take that in February. All right. So wrong remedy. अब देखो क्या हुआ है. Background बताती हूँ मैं आपको. Give me a second. What has happened? What is the amendment? What is the remedy here? I'll tell you exactly everything. I've written them in bullet points. So I would want all of you to be very attentive here. Okay, and understand the whole background of this, because this is going to go on for quite some time. Okay. Okay. There are a few questions in some people's mind. Should a country be made according to the constitution, or a constitution be made according to the country? See, the fundamental, it's a dual process. A constitution is made according to how the country is. But then when there's a discussion, when there are amendments, when everything happens, then to continue and to reach the idea of the country that you have in your mind, the constitution will make that country. So it's a dual process. Understand that. Okay? Okay. And what would the conclusion be for such a passage? The conclusion is that there were some ideas, ideologies, and visions on which our constitution was based. Let us not stray away from that. Let's appreciate the whole process of finalizing and establishing our constitution, and let's ensure that the idea of India enshrined in our constitution is achieved and we don't move away from that. That is the whole conclusion that is being drawn from the first passage. Okay? Got that, everyone? Ali, Arnab? All right. Now, let's understand this. I've got some bullet points in the next slide. Now, that's the wrong remedy could exacerbate an ailment. I've got a hurt here. Okay. I go to the doctor. I get some medication done. But if the medication is wrong, what's going to happen? It's going to make the wound worse. Right? So, एक खराब चीज already है. अगर उसकी ट्रीटमेंट गलत हो गई, तो वो उसको और खराब ही करेगा, वो उसको ठीक नहीं करेगा, राइट? और ये सबको पता है. This holds true for the Union Government's Department of Personnel and Training, DOPT, proposals to amend Rule 6 related to the deputation of cadre officers of the IAS 1954. अब ये Rule 6 क्या है? इसमें क्या अमेंडमेंट आया है? ये सब पढ़ते हैं नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में. बताती हूँ डिटेल में. Some states have not nominated officers for deputation adequately to work with the union government. In this, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Telangana stands out. ठीक है, अब देखो समझते हैं ये क्या है. So recently, the department, everyone इसका screenshot ले लेना. Recently, the Department of Personnel Training wrote to the states that the union government proposes to amend Rule 6 of this Cadre Rule 1954. Under this, the union government will acquire for itself overriding powers to transfer IAS and IPS officers through central deputation. Central government हमारी through UPSC hire करती है civil servants. ठीक है? IAS, IFS and IPS. ठीक है? इनको hire करती है. Now, once the government hires them, the UPSC hires them, some of them are transferred to individual states. Okay? And then the government expects from the states that when we need officers for our own personal purpose serving the central government, every state provides them with a list of officers that can work for the central government. Now there's a fight from both the sides. Okay? The fight is that the center says the state does not provide us ample of candidates. There's a dearth of candidates, the states claim. Also, the candidate who is being deported who's being moved to or decentralized to the central government, technically should be in agreement of his movement. So, if the officer isn't in the agreement, he can't be moved to the center. Okay. Now, the center says, we want officers. Okay, so guys, there's a power cut, but I'm continuing. You have to continue the class like this. Okay, let me turn my torchlight on. I think that's going to help us. Let's continue like this for some time. I hope you can गुड टू गो, कंटिन्यू करें ऐसे ही? कैन आई कंटिन्यू लाइक दिस? ठीक है, कंटिन्यूइंग लाइक दिस, ओके। सो ठीक है, तो अब स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कहती है कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट फोर्सफुली हमसे ले जाते हैं ऑफिसर्स, लेने की डिमांड करते हैं, हम नहीं देंगे क्योंकि हमारे पास ही कम है। ठीक है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कहती है स्टेट गवर्नमेंट नहीं देती है हमको ऑफिसर्स। बीच में आ जाते हैं ये ऑफिसर्स जिनमें आधे से ज्यादा तो अनविलिंग होते हैं मूवमेंट के लिए। तो और फिर जिनका मूवमेंट होता है, कुछ लोग ये क्लेम करते हैं कि हमको फोर्सफुली मूव किया जा रहा है बिना हमारी अग्रीमेंट के, वो जो ऑफिसर्स जो हमारी यूपीएससी के थ्रू हायर हुए हैं। ठीक है, सो इस वजह से दोनों साइड के अपने अपने क्लेम्स हैं। तो गवर्नमेंट ने इस क्लेम को, ये जो क्लेम्स हैं और ये जो इनजस्टिस है अकॉर्डिंग टू द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने बोला हम अमेंडमेंट करेंगे रूल नंबर 6 में। ठीक है, रूल नंबर 6 था जिसके थ्रू डेप्यूटेशन हो सकती है केडर ऑफिसर्स की टू द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट थ्रू द लिस्ट जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट प्रोवाइड करती है। अब इसमें बहुत सारे ऐसे एग्जाम्पल्स है, आप जब इंटरनेट खोलेंगे देयर आर थाउजेंड्स ऑफ एग्जाम्पल्स जहां लास्ट डे था वर्किंग और एक दिन पहले डेप्यूटेशन कर दिया, बिना कंसेंट के डेप्यूटेशन कर दिया, या फिर स्टेट ने मना कर दिया हम देंगे ही नहीं। तो सेंटर के अपने क्लेम से, स्टेट के अपने क्लेम से। ठीक है, ये हो जाता है द फंडामेंटल हियर। अब आगे क्या होता है देखो, द अंडर दिस द यूनियन गवर्नमेंट विल अक्वायर फॉर इटसेल्फ ओवरराइडिंग पावर्स। उन्होंने बोला हम अगर अमेंडमेंट करते हैं तो ये अमेंडमेंट हमें सुप्रीम पावर दे देता है डेप्यूट करने का आईएएस और आईपीएस को थ्रू सेंट्रल डेप्यूटेशन। इस रूल 6 को अमेंड करने के बाद उनके पास सुप्रीम पावर हो जाता है। फिर अगर स्टेट मना करता है तो भी सेंटर उनको ट्रांसफर कर सकता है। ओके, ओके, यस, वेस्ट बंगाल, तमिलनाडु, यस आलिया, एग्जैक्टली। आई डोंट वांट टू नेम द स्टेट्स, बट तमिलनाडु और वेस्ट बंगाल ये दो स्टेट्स है जहां सबसे ज्यादा ऐसे केसेस दिखे थे। ओके, सो the center, Shruti, the center proposes this amendment, the state does not। आपको देखो आगे समझ में आएगा क्यों। The federal nature of the IAS officers, नहीं ये काम का नहीं है, they have the accountability to serve both under the state and the center, obviously because आप यूपीएससी के थ्रू हायर होते हो and every IAS officer, IPS, IFS officer has the accountability to serve the state and the center as well, and thus the rift arises. However, the cadre controlling authority of the AIS is the union government. Now, since the union government obviously is going to control it, the union government can amend the rules here, and that's the amendment in the Rule 6 about the deputation they've come up with. Okay. Now, deputation of the IAS officer, how that happens, and what are the present rules? The rule of rule number 6. Okay. I'll explain rule number 6 and I'll also explain what is the amendment. In the normal practice, the center asks every year for a list of offer from the states. Okay, that states, come on, give us a list of the officers that you are ready to depute. Okay, but if the state is unwilling to send any because they can quote the dearth of officers and the scarcity and scanty number of officers they have, they'll say, no, we're not going to deport any. Okay, all India Service is willing to go on the central deputation, after which it selects the officers from that list. The central government selects the officers from the list provided by the state. Officers have to get a no objection clearance from the state government and for the central deputation. Now, these officers who are supposed to be deputed have to get a no objection. If the state does not give them a no objection, they aren't transferred, they aren't deputed. States have to depute the all India services officers to the central government offices at any point. It cannot be more than 40% of the total cadre strength. अब उनका total cadre strength जितना भी हो, वो 40% से ज़्यादा depute नहीं होगा. That's the existing law. Understood the rule number 6, everyone? Okay. All right. So here we go with the proposed amendment. Now you'll understand why is the whole disturbance, the whole analysis and scrutiny of this amendment happening. If the amendment that is proposed is, if the state government delays posting the state cadre officer to the center and does not give effect to the central government's decision within the specified time, the officer shall stand relieved from the cadre from the date as may be specified by the central government. Technically, if the state says no, or the state does not take a decision of deportation within that specified time, then the decision of transferring that transferring that officer within a stipulated time is decided by the central government, and the central government has the authority to take away that officer within a stipulated time without the agreement of the state. The center will decide the actual number of officers to be deputed. So कौन डेप्यूट होगा ये सेंटर ही डिसाइड करेगा, स्टेट नहीं डिसाइड करेगा. कितने डेप्यूट होंगे ये भी सेंटर डिसाइड करेगा. एंड they should make eligible names of such officers. The state has to do that. They have no choice. In case of any disagreement between state and center, कौन सुप्रीम होगा? रूल बनाने वाला. So रूल बनाने वाला सेंटर है. सेंटर बोलेगा मेरा डिसीजन फाइनल होगा अगर डिस्प्यूट होगा सेंटर और स्टेट के बीच में तो. Okay? And the state shall give effect to the decision of the center only. In specific situations where services of cadre officers are required by the central government in public interest, the state shall give effect to the decision within a stipulated time. So if there are officers who are needed to serve a public interest, now this public interest could be anything actually, anything. Thus, they have to transfer these officers within that specified time. Now this is the proposed amendment. Of course, the government is receiving a lot of flack for it. Flack because already the number of officers, it's less in our country. Thus, if this arbitrary, according to the states, this is an arbitrary one that happens, it's going to be bad. But center has its own reasons if you look at that. The center says because the state is always unwilling to give us officers, it's unjust and we need to ensure that we have ample of officers for the center as well. So state has its own justification and the center has its own justification. Got the whole idea of amendment, everyone? Officers के consent होना चाहिए and before transfer, ऐसे ही transfer letter देकर transfer करना sometimes बढ़ावा देते हैं. अच्छा, okay. All right. ठीक है. आया सबको समझ में? चलो, let's move ahead. Now let's understand अब ये पूरा आगे कैसे चलता है. Numbers assessed by the Hindu show that the actual deputation as a percentage of the mandated reserve fell from 69 to 30%. Mandate इतना percent आपका deputation होना चाहिए, वो 69% था पहले, but it has fell to 30% only, suggesting that there is a merit in the DOPT's identification of shortages in deputation being an issue. But does this necessitate the rule changes proposed by the DOPT? Basically वो कह रहे हैं कि ऐसा कितनी वर्षों की सिचुएशन कि आपको ये रूल चेंज करने का नीड हो गया, which include acquiring overriding powers for the union government that will do away with seeking approval from the state. So what, and in the end, what is the need of making an arbitrary law where there is no need of consulting the state, and when there's no need to get approval from the state? This is arbitrary according to the writer here. Two of the rules are particularly problematic in the amendments. First, in case of any disagreement, yes, the union is going to be supreme and the state has to do according to what the union says. This rule is problematic in the amendment, right? And in some specific situations, state would have to depute certain cadres whose services are sought by the union government. Transfer करना ही पड़ेगा उनको आपको without any argument. तो ये दोनों rules, specific situation हो गया public interest वाला rule. So according to the author, these two rules are problematic here. These changes amount to arm twisting states and unwilling bureaucrats to be deputed. So देखो, आप यूनियन के पर्सपेक्टिव से अगर देखोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा वो स्टेट जो सक्षम नहीं करते हैं, जहां पॉसिबली सेंटर से उल्टी गवर्नमेंट है, ऑपोजिशन की गवर्नमेंट है, वो नहीं सक्षम करना चाहेंगे, तो उन स्टेट्स पे प्रेशराइज करने के लिए ये रूल बना है. अग्रीड. और वो वाले ब्यूरोक्रेट्स जो कि अनविलिंग है डेप्यूटेशन के लिए, यूनियन गवर्नमेंट के लिए काम करने के लिए, उन पे भी प्रेशर डाला जा सकता है. एंड ऑल्सो प्रेजेंटिंग अ फेट अकॉम्प्लाई फॉर स्टेट्स फॉर स्पेसिफिक सिचुएशंस व्हिच हैव नॉट बीन डिफाइंड. पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट नहीं डिफाइन किया उन लोगों ने, तो ये वो कुछ भी हो सकता है. सिंस दे हैवंट डिफाइंड पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट, इट कुड बी एनीथिंग फॉर व्हिच दिस movement deputation can happen. These proposed changes have unsurprisingly raised the hackles of state governments. They are unhappy. Every state is unhappy. Jahan central government ki opposition hai. As the governance responsibility during the pandemic have shown, states are quite dependent upon the bureaucracy and deputation to the union government should not be done at the cost of state requirement. क्योंकि स्टेट रिक्वायरमेंट भी होती है और सेंट्रल रिक्वायरमेंट भी होती है, लेकिन ऐसा कोई रूल नहीं होना चाहिए जो स्टेट के रिक्वायरमेंट को ओवरलुक करके अपने रिक्वायरमेंट पे ध्यान दे. That is why the criticism to it. Reports have indicated that civil servants have found the top-down culture of union government officers to be stifling. Top-down culture क्या हुआ? सेंटर सुप्रीम है और फिर आता है स्टेट. तो इससे जो ऑटोनॉमी ऑफ स्टेट एंड दी ऑफिसर्स है वो तो डिमीन होगी, वो तो खत्म होगी उनकी ऑटोनॉमी. एंड दे फाइंड इट स्टिफलिंग एंड प्रेफर द रिलेटिव ऑटोनॉमी ऑफ द स्टेट. और इसीलिए उनको लगता है कि स्टेट के लिए काम करना बेटर है क्योंकि हम यहाँ स्टेट के अंदर ही हैं और हम स्टेट को रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं. जब आप सेंटर में जाते हो तो ऊपर वाले लोग डिसाइड करते हैं नीचे वाले लोग कैसे काम करेंगे. ये ऑफिसर्स का क्लेम है. There is clearly a need for more qualitative approach that tackles such work and culture issues. Besides, a state-by-state look at deputation that disincentivizes those states which depute officers much below the mandated numbers. 30% चाहिए मुझे deputation. State बोलेगा नहीं सिर्फ 10% दूंगा तो उनको disincentivization होगा इस state को क्योंकि उसने requirement से कम किया. To the union government by adjusting future cadre strength reviews by Union Public Service Commission should also address the shortage problem. अगर shortage है और आप 30% नहीं दे सकते तो UPSC के साथ मिलके future requirement assess करो, hire more number of cadre officers and then depute the demanded number of officers. These steps are better than any rule changes that amount to Fiat striking at federalism. फ्यूचर रिक्वायरमेंट इंक्रीज करो, हायरिंग इंक्रीज करो और मीट करो वो रिक्वायरमेंट जो सेंटर की है rather than these amendments. What is the tone of the author, everybody? Ma'am, okay, why don't the center increase the number of seats for the officers? Prapti, that's exactly the solution given by the author here. Okay, ma'am, I think if the state will give enough officers, so why the central will do this? The state sometimes does not give enough officers because sometimes the officers are not willing to move because they find working for the union stifling, working for the center stifling. Okay. Also, sometimes the state has few number of officers, so उसमें से भी अगर वो 30% depute कर देंगे तो उनके लिए बार-बार depute बोल दिया मैंने, I'm sorry, वो depute कर देंगे तो उनके लिए कुछ भी नहीं बचेगा. Okay. It's analytical, it's critical. Yes, it's critical of the amendment and it's analytical. I hope it's clear to everybody the whole idea of how this deputation happens. Okay? All right. Guys, I'm taking a lot of effort and my eyes is training now. Jaldi se Hindu और Indian Express का देख लेते हैं आज क्या important articles है. But before that, 12:30 I'm going to come live on the BBA YouTube channel of BYJU'S exam prep. Okay? And I am going to take a new series that starts today on reading comprehensions. Okay, that's what we're going to start off with today. BBA YouTube channel 12:30. All right, now let's look at today's articles from the Indian Express and the Hindu. And see what are the important things we need to read today. This power cut. Are there any questions that you would want me to answer, everyone? Oh, it's going to be like this. You'll have to manage it. ठीक है, आज मैनेज करते हैं ऐसे ही. नो मुस्कान, मेन आइडिया आज करेंगे, ठीक है? ओके, ठीक है. लेट्स लुक एट द न्यूज़पेपर्स टुडे. This is the editorial. Okay, All right, the first one. False dichotomy. Oof. Guys, give me a second. Okay, yeah, look at this. This is an important article, guys. Please read this thoroughly. Quickly, let's look at the second one. A stellar fallacy. Yes. Please read this. Take care. A chance to support growth, fiscal consolidation. Yes. Yes, important. Please read this. Former governor of the RBI, C. Rangarajan. You have to read that. Decoding the 2020. No, 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 no. Don't read this. Next. Budgeting the education emergency. Yes, read this. You can leave this article. Leave this article as well. Let's look at text and context quickly, everyone. The Telegram group's link is shared by my video team. You could quickly join that. No, leave this. Yes, very, very important. Custody laws, very, very important. I think I'm going to take it tomorrow. Yes. Yes, please read this. Let's look at the Indian Express, everyone. Side by side for Amar Jawan Jyoti and National War Memorial. Yes, read this. Narayan Devnath's comic world was rich. Yes, read this. Why the personal data protection bill is bad news for business. Read this. Fiscal arithmetic. Yes, it's about the tax collection and we being happy about it. The dirge of secularism in India. Read this. Prison diary from Tihar by Natasha Narwal. Okay. Padna isko. Does Pakistan's national security policy signal the rethink of India? No. No political price yet? No. No walk to nitrogen, pigs to bulls, sports is often war. No, that's all. Now that's all from today's newspapers. I'm going to see you at 12:30, everyone. Have a very, very good day and God bless all of you.